And when we as women give up this like trying so hard, like my partner must understand me. He needs to get me, right? He's not getting me, right? That's such a heady experience. But when we actually just focus on, oh, my job is to let him feel me. My job as a woman is to be a felt fucking experience. Like that changes a woman's fucking life. She becomes more expressed. She uses her body in different ways. She becomes more like liberated and animated and alive in the way that she moves through the world. And this is in and outside of partnership.
Yo, 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 lovers. Welcome to Sex, Love, and Everything in Between. We're the O'Neills. You're here with Meg and Jacob.
And this is the place we have really uncensored conversations about sex, intimacy, and relationships. We're super excited you're here. Enjoy this episode.
Hey, mama.
Hey.
Daddy. Big daddy.
Hey, big daddy. How you feeling, big daddy?
I'm frustrated today.
You are.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, laugh about it.
I think we've spoken about this on the podcast before about anger and you know, dealing with our partner's anger in relationship. And, you know, it's one thing to have your partner projecting anger at you. And I'm not talking about that, but I'm just talking about when your partner is angry about something or frustrated about something. I used to just like make you feel so wrong for that. Mm-hmm. Because I wasn't comfortable with anger and I wasn't comfortable with my own anger, but you would experience anger and you might be like, fuck, and you'd just be saying it to yourself or you'd just be expressing it and let that energy move. And I used to really shame you.
I wouldn't say that I would say our families are very different in the way that we process anger.
How would you?
I would say neither of them are healthy. I would say our family is just so destructive.
You're a very outward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Projections, lots of finger pointing that occurs on my family's end.
My family is more, let's hold it in until.
Pew. I don't even think your family has the big blow-ups as much.
No, I think it's just like maybe let the anger eat away.
Yeah. I would say it's more.
I didn't really experience a lot of anger growing up. But no,
I would say maybe it was anger, but it wasn't as volatile.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say the anger in my home growing up was volatile.
Anyway, what I was getting at was I was in the bath just a few hours ago and you had written.
Had what?
From what I could,
you weren't there,
I
so
guessed.
Tell me what I did.
You'd written a whole lot of content in Kajabi and then it didn't save properly. And it was like hours of work.
It's not that it didn't save properly. I accidentally hit the X button. Because I had too many tabs open and I couldn't click close enough to the thing. Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
That was my fault.
That sucks. I thought it just like, you know, Kajabi times out sometimes, or I thought it was, so it wasn't even like, you couldn't even be like, fuck you, Kajabi.
I'm still a bit of I'm like, why doesn't this motherfucker have an autosave like Google?
Yes. All about the autosave. Anyway, I was lying in the bath and you were really having an expression session.
No, that was nothing to what was going on in my internal world.
But yeah, I've learned, that's a big thing. I've learned to just like not take that personally at all. And even like maybe 15, 20 minutes later, I got out of the bath and I came into your office and I wanted to just like, I think I started to touch your neck and like, I just said like, I'm really sorry. You lost everything. And you were like, I just need time. Please leave. I was like, okay. And there would have been a point in our relationship where it would have taken that so personally. And today, is he crying? Does he want to leave the room?
No, keep going.
Today, it was just like, that's not about me. Like, just like the best way to love him right now is to offer him the space. Mm-hmm. Then we had a good laugh over lunch.
I'm still feeling anger. I'm not laughing yet. You are. You're laughing for both of us.
But you were being light about it.
Well, you know what they say. If you don't laugh, you cry. But
Oh gosh.
yeah, anger is, and it's just like it's more so when I'm doing something that I really struggle, and when I struggle to create. Like, I'm good at facilitating. I'm great at facilitating. But when it comes to, like, sitting down and building out programs and that sort of stuff, I find that to be such a drag.
Yeah.
And that then led to, like, me, like, I was, like, getting really excited that I'd nearly finished one of the fucking modules. And...
Jesus.
All right, I'll let him out.
Okay. Our dog is climbing all over me. No, Django.
That's not your fault either, because you're a dog. That has nothing to do with you. Come on.
Life is testing you
Come on.
today.
Go.
Oh, he doesn't even want to leave now.
Yeah.
He just wanted to have that experience.
Obviously.
Is it still recording?
Yeah, we're just going to keep going.
Okay.
This is part of it. This is part of our life.
So guys, if you...
Yep, I think he's wrecked it. Just broken the...
So we're just talking about Jacob's frustration, and our dog has just jumped over a cord and pushed the whole camera and everything over.
Yeah, we're back on. It's all working. Don't worry about the thousands of dollars worth of gear that I bought for this. Oh, man.
Maybe this episode is trying to take us in a totally different direction to where we first thought. Maybe today is just like a...
Like, I don't know what I'm going to do I'm going to love that baby in your belly, but I'm also so concerned about, like, all of the... I'm so materialistic when it comes to my things.
Yeah.
I'm like...
I don't know if you'd call it even... maybe it is a sense of being materialistic. You're just like, when you get something, you take such good care of it and you become very attached to it. And... yeah, where I get something and like
destroy it immediately.
Yeah, I'm not great with looking after my possessions. Like, I'll buy a really expensive outfit and like I got chocolate all over something expensive the other day. I was like, oh well. I'm going to thrive in parenthood for that reason. Oh well.
I can't. Like, it makes my whole neck like tense up. Like, my whole body's so tense right now. It makes me think, like, yeah, I don't know whether that's a wound or good or whatever about me, but anyway, fuck. All right.
I think we need that in our relationship because you do take care of things.
I would love for both of us to take care of things.
Well,
that's my dream. It's like,
but also I think there needs to be someone like me in the relationship.
I don't know whether that's...
It's kind of like, oh well, let's not worry about it.
No, I don't know. I would disagree with that, but that might be for another podcast.
Okay.
Or we can do it live on air. Honestly, the anger thing, very real for me right now. So that was perfect. Obviously, thank you.
Thank you, Django.
Thank you, Django. You're my greatest teacher, Django. I could have just grabbed him then and just I feel like everything's preparing us for parenthood, though. You know, that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's like I'm just imagining like coming in here and seeing a cup of water just tipped straight on top of the mixer.
Oh gosh. Well, I think we'll have the podcast room somewhere else where the child can't go.
Oh, we might, or we might not. We'll see. Are you going to do anything about it, or are you just going to leave everything everywhere? If you guys could see this lounge room right now, it doesn't.
Oh, it's absolute chaos.
Meg's yoga room, her red light room, and her office all in one.
Because we have a heater in this room, and I do a lot in here. And then I haven't unpacked from my immersion yet either, so all the stuff's over here, and that was a week and a bit ago.
Just put it in the garage like I do.
Oh, yeah.
I want to circle back around like the valuing things. I just want to tell two quick stories.
Okay.
I remember my great aunt, Auntie Joan, her partner Frank, he showed me a fry pan that he got. He bought, it was the first thing that he bought for his wife when they moved in. And there was a fry pan and he was still using it
And he was
up until-
90 something.
Yeah, up until the day he died, and I think he got married in his late 20s. So he'd had a fry pan for like
70 years.
close to 70 years, and he was just using it over and over again. And he's like, "Yep, this was the best." He's like, and I think it cost him almost a week's wages.
Wow.
And he's like, and remember him saying, if you buy the right one once, you won't have to buy it again. And I think I've always been a bit like, I like to look after my things.
Yeah.
Because I wanted one day, like when I'm 90, be like, oh, cool, look at this. I've still got it and it's still in good nick. And
Yeah.
And I'm also that person I'm very particular in my family around that sort of stuff.
No one else is. Would you
Not
say?
as much, no. Not as much, no. So that's the one story. So shout out to Frank. Rest in peace, Frank. He died a few years ago, and he was a really strong presence in my life. And I loved the stories that he shared, especially that one. And the other one was I went fishing with my dad, and he's had this. It's called a bullwhip, and it's a fishing rod that he's had for ages, since before I was born, I think. And I went fishing, and he's like, oh, yeah, just use that. And I said, oh, cool, just used it. And this was a couple of years ago. And I remember just flicking a lure out, and the lure got caught on a snag, and I just went like that, and I just snapped the rod in half. And I came back around, I was like, I've just snapped your rod. He's like, oh well. I was like, no, like that's bad. Like, you have to be angry. Like, he's like, oh, well, I've had that most of my life, mate. And he's like, what? Like, what'd you do to it? I was like, I can't talk about it. I said, I can't handle breaking other people's stuff. Like,
But your dad genuinely wouldn't have cared.
I don't know. Like,
but your dad's a bit like, oh, we move on.
Yeah, I know.
Can't,
yeah.
like, your dad doesn't really.
I don't know if that makes me feel good or bad.
Sit in stuff. Your dad's just like, no point. Yeah.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that about your dad.
Yeah. You and him are awfully similar sometimes. not in looks, obviously, but
Oh gosh.
But yeah. All right, I'm feeling regulated now, guys, so we can start the podcast.
Okay. Thank you for your story. Does storytelling regulate you?
Yep. It grounds me. Helps me locate myself in time and space.
Okay. You're back. You're grounded.
Yep.
Okay. What do we want to talk about?
Let's talk about. I wanted to get so much done today, and I've done fuck all.
And you're like, I don't even want to be on this. I've got other things to be doing.
I didn't sleep last night. I didn't get to bed. Like
Why didn't you sleep last night?
I couldn't sleep. I was just stressed.
Oh.
And,
Were you?
Yeah. And I was up. I looked at the latest. It was like 2:15. I barely slept last night. And then
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then you've just been annoying me all day.
Have I?
Yeah. Haven't you felt that?
No.
Oh, really? I've been kind of annoyed at you for no reason, just for existing.
Well, yeah, I felt like, but I don't think that's about me. I think that's more about what you've been moving through.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, I haven't taken that personally.
Have you?
I haven't been No, I haven't been taking that personally.
But I'm complete.
Just like, you mean like podcast done?
Yeah, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go have a beer. No, I would really like to talk about not what went down at Claimed. I'd really love to talk about, the profound nature of the work that you offer and what, and the potency and the healing that can occur when we come together and create a safe space. And I'm really, as you all know, I'm pretty passionate about men's work and bringing men together to do the work in brotherhood. But for me to come in and to support and facilitate for the women, it really showed me the necessary part of coming together as men and women and where that's going to start to take place more in our work, I believe. And I kind of got a little glimpse into the future of our work, which was a really beautiful experience. Not that we're going to be working together. Don't get any ideas. We're going to be.
What do you mean?
Don't be getting.
What do you mean the future of our work?
I can just see how it will come. I can see the healing nature of coming back together after doing the work with the men and the women doing the work with the women. I can see where it can be really easy to stay in that dynamic. I only do the work with the men. I only do the work with the women. And there's this new belief in me, or this remembering of like, okay, there's going to be a time when we come together and do this work alongside each other in a really deep way. And I've wondered why we haven't done it yet. And I think it's because we weren't ready. I think we've been deepening separately so beautifully, and then to come in and witness the women and be a part of that. And I've been a part of a lot of the online programs that you've had as well. And that's been really beautiful. But this one just felt different. It felt like, we're actually going, this is now becoming part of my work as well. Not just your work, and I'm coming in to be a part of it. I can see that there's something that's growing.
Yeah, it was so fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
I hadn't done anything in person for like a really long, like we'd had the podcast party, but in terms of facilitating something in person.
Let's not talk about that.
Oh yeah, that was another funny thing, that we had our podcast party earlier in the year and the podcast didn't record at the podcast party. So it was really shitty audio.
Yay.
That's being in business though. There's like things that just well, that's life. Things don't work out sometimes.
Yeah.
And who are you when they don't work out?
I embody the temperature of the sun internally, and I scorch myself.
Anyway, I hadn't facilitated anything in person for like a very fucking long time. So much of my business has been built online, which I love. I love being in a Zoom room with women. I love the ease of, creating, and, so much of my work, there's women from all over the globe.
You really have a global community.
My gosh.
With Full Spectrum Woman, with all of your work, it's such a global sisterhood.
In Full Spectrum Woman, we have women in like India, where else? Germany, Canada, America, New Zealand, Australia, like all these other places in Europe, like Sweden, there's just women like all over the fucking world. It's so cool. And yeah, so that's the beautiful part of being online. But I was feeling this call. It was a few months ago. I was in my second trimester and I was on a call with my team, Megan and Mel. And I said to them, hey, I actually want to do an in-person event and it'll be in my third trimester. And they're both mothers. I said, what do you reckon? And Megan, she was like, no, don't do it. I was like, am I crazy? Because we'll also be launching Full Spectrum Woman and we'll be doing this and we're doing that. And I think Megan was like, no. And then Mel was quite new to my team at the time, so I don't really think she shared much. And I was like, I'm going to do it anyway. And I think I put a thing on an Instagram story or a story on Instagram being like, is trimester 3 Meg going to regret or like be mad at trimester 2 Meg for making this decision? But I wasn't. I literally, even just on day 1 of the immersion, so it was an in-person immersion I held last week on the Gold Coast. And oh my God, it was just like the most glorious experience ever. I am so fucking glad I chose that before giving birth. I think it's really going to change the trajectory of my work next year. Like when I do come back after being in a baby bubble for a few months, like I just want to be in person with humans and inject that so much more into my work and how I be with women, because there's something so fucking special about being able to like touch someone there and like hug someone and, facilitate in like somatically, but like be with the women's bodies. It was just such a fucking stunning unfolding of a 3-day experience. And you were a huge part of that when you came in. Huge part of that.
Thank you. It's really cool to, I think there's been such a for me, entrepreneurship has been so focused as like it has to be online or it has to be passive or it's all about getting away from, doing more. And for me, I quite enjoy work. I quite enjoy the processes. I quite enjoy being in the room or being on the calls. Like that to me is fulfilling. So when you chose to do that, I was super excited for you because I knew how deeply it can impact the work that you are offering online as well. It's very much not one or the other. It's both. And I really truly believe that as we start to deepen and create these in-person experiences as facilitators, it just translates so much more powerfully online then because we're in it and we're living it. And I would say that, you know, for the first, 6 years, 8? Yeah, probably the first like 5 to 6 years of our journey in this kind of being in facilitated spaces, like we were very actively going to things. We were very actively like sitting in ceremony or being in the somatic space. Hello.
The baby just kicked when you said ceremony.
Yeah.
Really hard.
And that for me is like, that's what it brings through for me. It anchors and really has me wanting to show up and create more online when I am actually connected to something in person as well.
Completely. So yeah, more in-person experiences coming 2025. I'll probably have a baby on my boob while I'm facilitating next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You excited about that?
Yeah, I'm really excited about that.
Hell yeah. Tell us, what were some of your favorite moments from Claimed?
Oh, there were so fucking many. I adored the healing your relationship to the masculine ceremony, which we co-facilitated. And I don't want to share too much of like what goes down in that experience because it's sacred. It's such a sacred ceremony. But you come in and you represent the masculine, whatever that needs to be for each woman. And yeah, it's just like so fucking powerful to hold space for women to heal and for women to feel and for women to be expressed and to feel parts of themselves and also feel unfelt things, right? Things that have lived in their body for sometimes decades that they haven't felt safe enough to feel yet. Like that's liberation. Like that ceremony is watching a woman liberate herself. And a woman doesn't just liberate herself once. She liberates her whole entire life can become, a complete devotion to liberation. But that ceremony is just so stunning to witness the liberation that can go down in a woman's body. And so much of that entire 3 days was really about women, it was called Claimed. So it's about wanting to be claimed and chosen and cherished and ravished in partnership. But a huge part of that is if you desire that in partnership, you've got to become a woman that's willing to be fully expressed and be fully felt. That was a huge part of what I was teaching at Claimed, and what we were really dropping into is like, as women, we're not actually here to be understood or even digestible. We're here to be felt. And when we as women give up this like trying so hard, like my partner must understand me, he needs to get me, right? He's not getting me, right? That's such a heady experience. But when we actually just focus on, my job is to let him feel me. My job as a woman is to be a felt fucking experience. Like that changes a woman's fucking life. She becomes more expressed. She uses her body in different ways. She becomes more like liberated and animated and alive in the way that she moves through the world. And this is in and outside of partnership. So I'm kind of going on a tangent here, but that was actually another one of my favorite things is we did a lot of like playtime experiences where women had opportunities to be in expression, like be in partnered activities and be in expression and, bring through their desires with their body and with their voice, moving out of like being passive aggressive or, maybe bringing something to the relationship. If they're disappointed or hurt in their relationship, maybe closing down or contracting or storming away. We practiced kind of those. What's your usual pattern? And then we moved into like, okay, can you be a felt experience in this moment? Can you practice this like feminine responsiveness? And that was just so fun to witness the women, like every single woman there just fucking brought it and, met her edges and brought herself. And as a facilitator, like, and I said this again and again during that weekend, like an in-person event yes, it has something to do with the facilitator, but then again, it doesn't. It's so determined by the women or the people in that room and their devotion to bringing themselves and leaning in. And yeah, it was fucking stunning. And then I have many, many, many more favorite moments, but I'll just pause there.
I feel that when you do facilitate something like that, the beauty of it is having those 3 days, you kind of get to create an arc. You get to create a journey that you all go on. And that for me is what I love so much about like an in-person event, is that it becomes this deepening rather than this like, where are we, what am I delivering and how am I getting you there?
Yes.
And when you have 3 days to really deepen into like one particular piece around like being claimed and becoming a space for that, it's so beautiful when you can actually take your time and like what I would say is, like you said, it has nothing to do with the facilitation. I would disagree in that it has everything to do with the facilitation.
Yeah. Yeah, I do agree in a way. But it's not, I mean that in the way of like, it's not just me standing up there the whole time teaching. It's like also, the women choosing to bring themselves so deeply to that experience.
I haven't finished what I was saying.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I was going to say that it has everything to do with the facilitation and the facilitator doing less, needing to be the teacher, needing to get people somewhere.
You teach me so much about that in the way you facilitate.
I think that's part of facilitation. I think that's like what parenthood is probably going to be like as well. It's going to be like, well, we wanted to have dinner here and we wanted to do it at this time and this is how we wanted it to look, and it's not happening that way, and that's okay.
Your ability when you hold space to let go and let life move through the space is fucking phenomenal. And you really, because as a recovering high achiever and woman that loves to be in control, not so much anymore, but that's definitely where I've come from. There is this part of me in the past in my business that wants like everything planned and everything structured and everyone's safe. Is everyone having a good time? Is everyone feeling like wanting to micromanage everyone's experience? And just like witnessing the way you hold space and your ability to trust the humans that are in the room, and also your ability to trust life and how it wants to move in the space and maybe redirect the schedule or redirect some of the energy or whatever that might look like. That's taught me so much, and that's shifted the way I facilitate as, online and in person. I'm really grateful for that.
Thank you. And I think that you have a really beautiful balance of both.
Thank you.
And even after after day one, when you came back and you were like, you had a little moment of being like, oh, did I give them everything that I wanted to? Did I tick all the things off the list? And then you were like, sort of went into this little moment of just like critical analysis of self.
Yeah.
And I was like, hang on, don't you dare speak to my wife like that. Don't you dare speak to her like that. And what you wrote, like about 30 seconds later, you were then dropping in, talking about all of the amazing things that had actually occurred. And you're like, oh, if you had have stuck to the script, if you had have gotten everything done that you wanted to, you would have missed out on all of these things that were emerging. And that's what I love about like a space is like when you circle up and you stand and you all make a commitment to stepping in for 3 days and leaning into edges and finding where the kinks and the resistance and the shadows are, there is an emerging truth that must be honored. And if a facilitator cannot honor that emerging truth, they're just becoming another control freak or another person that can't let go. Therefore, the space is limited by your own conditioning. And this is huge. I'm teaching guys at the moment, teaching 9 guys in our facilitator training who are going to come along and support us at the Gathering of Men. And a big part of the conditioning that I see in the work is that it has to look a certain way. It has to follow a certain process and a certain formula. Whereas, we've been really big on creating frameworks and intuitive structures for the men to feel their way through and get to understand what it means to be with a living, breathing entity that can be the ceremonial nature of, you could be teaching on anything, but there is always going to be a ceremonial nature when you come together to deepen.
And that's attunement, right?
Yeah.
And that takes practice. And I also we speak so much about that here on the podcast in terms of intimacy and relationship.
Yes.
right? It's like, instead of, like, let's look at sex. It's like, we had this plan for sex. We went on a date and now we're in the bedroom and I thought sex was going to unfold perfectly and da-da-da. And now actually there's emotion here, or there's contraction here, or there's something else here. And, you know, a masterful facilitator in that moment, or a masterful like relationship practitioner is going to not just try and force the perfect sex to happen. They're going to be like, I'm going to honor what's here right now. And I'm going to trust that that's where my energy needs to be. And I've got to say yes to that in order to go where I want to go. So yeah, it's the same with facilitation. And yeah, again, I think that takes such practice. And I think often, you know, I know a lot of women and men that own businesses and are in the coaching industry and are holding space, listen to the podcast. And I think that sometimes having a structure is really important to be like, where am I taking my people?
Oh, definitely.
Where am I guiding them? But then to be able to, you know, practice the art of, attunement and like taking the pulse of a space and being able to be flexible enough to, it's flexible enough, but then it's, what was that noise?
It was a car.
Be flexible enough, but also there's like a huge trust piece in it.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm like learning. And I think this is deepened even more during pregnancy. It's just like such a depth of trust in my work, in my business, in life. Mm-hmm. Again, I think it's the way I'm choosing to do this pregnancy. I haven't seen a doctor. We haven't seen any medical practitioner. It's like me and the baby. And like that, I've got to trust life.
Yeah.
I'm not trusting someone to give me a structure or tell me what to do. It's like I'm trusting life. And yeah, I feel that even more deeply through my work at the moment too. It's been really beautiful.
And structure is important to a point.
Yeah.
And structure is necessary. It's just the rigidity of that structure, or the forcefulness or the forcing nature behind that structure that can really make or break a space. And I've been in spaces where there hasn't been enough structure. And the facilitation hasn't actually guided it hasn't had enough containment. And that's important as well. And that's why framing is so important, I think. And I don't know why I'm giving how to facilitate, but that's what I love about the way that you lead women in, is there is a lot of framing and giving women an understanding of what it is that they're stepping into and what they're saying yes to, and what this opportunity will afford them should they meet their edge or expand beyond their window of tolerance and see what's there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think this is definitely specifically when someone's holding space for women, like, safety is important for every human, but the work I do with women, it's like, that healing your relationship to the masculine ceremony, big stuff arises for women, like really, really big stuff. And it is like safety. I'm not, in my work, I'm never the kind of person that's going to like, let's have this huge cathartic experience and let's bring out the deepest trauma. Like, no, it's like if that arises in a woman's body and she is like, I can see that oftentimes when something is there, and I will invite her, but it's always an invitation. And I think that's so important in this work as well, that like, especially for women, know that it's always an invitation, and they're not being forced into these huge experiences when, they might not feel safe to. Yeah.
I think it can be quite easy to fall into the somatic space or the in-person space and think the louder, the more intense, the more graphic, the more almost obscene the release is, the better. But the more I personally do this work, it's in the subtleties. It's in the subtleties that which comes back to attunement. And if you have fierce presence, you can support someone in a way that they don't necessarily have to get somewhere or get to where you think they need to get to. Some people have to kick and scream and go through that, and that's part of the process. if that's their process, but it's not a one size fits all.
I love that when it's like releasing, and I think this is so important when you're working somatically with someone. And this is so true for how I show up in Full Spectrum Woman, when I'm group coaching, when I'm guiding women, like in person and online, is that, you know, I have learnt that I'm like, if I'm like ignoring the truth of the moment and trying to get a woman to a particular place, that's not masterful coaching, or that's not masterful facilitation, right? It's like I've got to let go of where I think this woman needs to go, and I've got to be present with that woman's body and what I'm seeing. And like, what is the truth of the moment? Okay, what am I seeing that she might not be able to see? Or what am I seeing and that I can like pull on and, you know, like pull on a thread and poof, okay, now we're over here. And like, what's the truth of this moment now? And there is such a trust in that. There is such a trust in that. And it's so fucking stunning. You know, these are the times in my work where I do feel most fulfilled, when I'm in that space and I'm just like, I have no idea where this is going or what's going to happen. I'm just like here right now with this woman and her body. Like, it's so, and I know you do the same with men and the work you do. It's just like, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
I live for that shit. Like, I live for those moments. Like the tension, the dynamic tension that comes online when you like got to be so fiercely present, because without that, the space crumbles, and it's like, this is beautiful work to be doing. Yeah.
And someone feels that. Like, I often use this, and there's so many crossovers with like facilitation and relationship, partnership, and like the masculine and feminine. But I often talk about the word like when the feminine feels dropped in partnership. So, you know, if you say you're going to do something and you don't, or like if I'm offering my heart and like bringing myself so deeply, and then I see you get distracted or like pick up your phone, or that's the feeling of being dropped. And the same thing can happen in facilitation, right?
So much so. When
a facilitator, you know, loses presence or is trying to like force something, or like, and I know there's just not that attunement. There can be a feeling of being dropped. Yeah. This went in a completely different direction than where I thought this conversation was going to go.
I want to circle back to like the healing the masculine, healing the relationship to the masculine. Like, where do you, and I'm going to put my little interviewer hat on to sort of start this conversation. I know you get a bit awkward when
that was one time.
Yeah, you get a bit awkward.
That was one time.
You get a bit weird. But like, I guess what do you feel women are really craving from that experience? Like for me, like I want people to get like a kind of like a little peek behind the curtain without too much as to what because this process is fucking profound. I'm so grateful to get to be a part of it. But what do you feel women...
It's hours and hours and hours long.
And it takes forever.
It's so stunning though.
Yeah, make sure you eat beforehand. You're gonna miss lunch. But what do you feel like the women are really like... What do you feel it creates? Like, what do you feel that women are really deeply getting from that experience? What is it, if you were to say, you know, what is it that they're coming in and they're, you know, I feel that every woman would be carrying something.
Yeah, it's a space, especially the first part of that ceremony, which, you know, do we want to express? Okay, but the first part of the ceremony, which is really an opportunity for women to. I'm just going to,
okay,
I won't share like deeply, but like it's an opportunity for women to express their hurt. Their hurt. How has the masculine hurt them? Whether that's a man or, you know, men. And so many women are carrying hurt in their body that has been unfelt and unexpressed. And to have a safe space, you know, where they can move that in their body and liberate that in their body. And, you know, if something isn't felt or expressed, it has nowhere to go. It sits in the body. And why this is such an important part of, you know, relating, and why I bring this experience into something like Claimed, where it's women coming into a room because they want more from their relationship or a future partnership. It's because if we are holding pain and hurt in our body from men that we've unfelt, that's gone unfelt and unexpressed, we are taking that body into our partnership or our future partnership. And that is the way that we are navigating that partnership through that hurt, through the lens of that hurt, through the lens of that.
Continue, my love.
Sneaky. Yeah, so it's so important that we as women, like if we want the most potent, powerful, cracked the fuck open relationships possible, if we want that experience, we need to liberate our body. We need to get motherfucking angry for the shit that's happened. That's the biggest piece I see with women. And I really want to write a post around this, and maybe this is a whole other podcast episode, but so much of my work with women is teaching women that it makes me want to cry. Like teaching women that it's okay to feel fucking angry. It's not even okay. It's important. Like it's so important that they get fucking angry about the shit that's happened instead of pushing it down or justifying it.
I feel like they reason with it. They create reasoning around it.
Totally.
Like, yeah.
And a lot of the time this happens with sexual abuse or sexual assault. And, you know, majority of women have experienced some kind of sexual abuse or a sexual assault. And a lot of those women are continuing, and our society kind of conditions women to do this, to justify it or push it down. And it's so important if a woman desires to experience, you know, whether it's deep pleasure or deep love or deep feelings of safety with a man, right, in her relationship, that she actually goes through the process of letting herself feel fucking angry, letting herself say, that's not fucking okay. Mm-hmm. Like, that's not fucking okay. And that's a huge part of what I do with women, teaching them it's important. It's necessary. They can't just go, I'm going to push that down and I want to get to the state of deep pleasure and ecstatic orgasms and an epic relationship where I'm feeling claimed. Like, no, that's a part of that journey. Like you being like, that was not fucking okay. And that's a huge part of that ceremony, letting women be in their motherfucking rage, letting women be in the depths of their grief, letting women be in the pain, like letting that be there in the body and letting them be witnessed, letting themselves be witnessed in that. Mm-hmm. So fucking powerful, so fucking liberating. And what becomes possible for a woman on the other side of that is like, I've got no words for that. Liberation. Anything is possible.
Yeah.
On the other side of liberation.
I think it's one of the key pieces that I feel in the space is that all of the conditioning and all of the rules that maybe women have been handed to say, hey, this is how you justify and get on with it.
Yeah.
All of that is taken and pushed to the side, pushed out of the space. We say, we don't do that here. We don't, that's, you don't need to do that here.
Yeah.
Whatever is there is whatever is sitting within you that you've had to hold on to because people told you it wasn't right to be angry, it wasn't right to be frustrated, it wasn't right to feel hurt. Like that's available, like that's welcome here. It's actually necessary for the rest of the process. Like this is, and what I hear in that is like it's like actually creating space in the body for more of what you want.
Yes.
Like whilst ever this stuff is sitting in there, it's taking up valuable space. And you once through clearing that, you then get it to become a space for whatever it is that you do actually fucking want.
Yeah.
I think that's such a beautiful, beautiful gift. And the thing that I would say about that, when it comes to a relationship, you can have a man that may want to love you really deeply. And he can be really good at holding presence and all these different things. But if you've got something that you're holding on to, there's a level of responsibility, whether you're a man or a woman, to find a way to move that and dissolve that And it can happen in your relationship, but if it's not happening in your relationship, you can go to places like Claimed and actually feel the support necessary to go into that thing, that emotion, that feeling, and move it.
Yeah.
And for me, I think too, I just want to sort of explain why I believe that these spaces are like essential to like healthy relationships. And I've seen a lot of people talking about like, you know, no level of personal development could you know, prepare me for the depth of healing that I'd receive in my relationship. I'm like, yeah, but it did. If you've done it, like it does. Like that's that's it. But no, because everything that I've done outside of my relationship has allowed me to go deeper and heal and experience my relationship at a level that I never thought possible.
And then there's the piece around you could do all the fucking men's retreats and everything, but you've chosen to come back and integrate into the relationship.
It's both.
Yeah, it is both.
But that piece there is like you have a responsibility to work on yourself, and sometimes you need to be away from like you need to step into a space where there is a level of anonymity or a level of like, oh, there's more people here who can hold me, or there's relatability here. When you're with the sisters or I'm with the brothers. And what I take from that, you know, some of the stuff I've had to like process, especially the anger, like that wasn't your responsibility to hold me in that, nor could you, because some of it has taken 10 to 15 guys to hold me in that. Really, like that's true. I am pretty strong, but I'm not like, that's not to say that I'm the strongest, but like, yeah, it's literally the energy that was moving through me. It took that many guys to like be with me and hold that field of safety and non-judgment. So that's why I believe this whole weekend that you created, this whole retreat, this whole immersive experience for women it's fucking essential. Like if women want deep and loving relationships, you can come along to something like this and create depth and spaciousness in your body, and then know what it is that you want to fill it with. You become so much more capable.
Amen.
Oh. Did you want another question?
Give me one more.
One more?
Yeah.
What do you feel women like there's a few things that I really took notice of in the space, and I saw one of the things that I saw really clearly was exhaustion. Women's exhaustion. And I'd love for you to just share what you saw. Like what I really saw the letting, like there was like some deep moments of resting and surrendering for some of these women in the most beautiful way. And there was like times where all of the women would be surrounding one woman, holding her and looking after her, and almost like letting her know that she doesn't have to carry it all on her own, and that there's people here that can hold her. And that for me, like after that first part that you just spoke deeply into, I think it's like what these women get to like almost anchor in their bodies and like, oh, this is what I want to feel. I want to feel like this. Like how important do you feel like that is? And then like bringing in your unique desires as to what you want as a woman. How important do you feel that is?
How important do I feel what is?
That feeling of like getting to a point of surrender and opening. And then what do you do with that surrender and opening? How do you calibrate it to your lifestyle? Like, because every woman's different. Yeah. And every woman has a different set of desires. But how do you, like, one of the things I say is like, if you crack yourself open and you create all of this space, unless you actually know what it is that you want, by default, if you go back out into the world, you'll just start filling it up unconsciously.
Yeah, got you. I often, and I spoke this into the space so many times at Claimed, like I see an immersive experience as a way of like creating a blueprint. And so many times I say this over and over again in like all of our different playtime experiences and, you know, all of the experiences we had at that event, like take a breath and let your body remember this moment. Like take a breath and like create a blueprint of this moment. So it might be when a woman's in a surrendered state. It might be when she's like ecstatically expressed or like alive in her expression or like has this desire on her heart and she's like bringing it through, or she's like cracked open. So she's knowing the difference between like closure and opening. And yeah, I'm such a huge advocate for like going into an immersive space to have, or, you know, I do this inside Full Spectrum Woman too on different calls. It's like, you know, remember this moment, like create a blueprint and then you practice that. Like there's going to be moments where you forget that feeling and you you forget that posture, right? You forget, you close, you contract instead of the posture of opening. And your job outside of the room, so the women acclaimed their job outside of the room was like, oh, when they notice themselves contracting or like going back into patterns of emasculation, or, you know, why do I have to do all myself? Or like, you know, trying to grip and hold and control and all these things. It's like, okay, my body knows my body holds the blueprint of surrender and openness and ecstasy and all of these things. How can I invite it back to that place right now? Sometimes it's a breath. If they're in partnership, sometimes it's walking back into the fucking room with their partner after they stormed out. But inviting themselves back into that blueprint, knowing that their body knows that place, but they've got to consciously invite it back into that place. And I think that's really important after immersive experiences, retreats, big experience, anything. This can be online as well. I say this every time I do a course. I'm like, please don't let this work stay in this month or this container. Like, your job now is to practice this, to be a practitioner of this work. And the work doesn't work if you don't. Like, to actually, you've got to be so conscious about, you know, practicing the posture, practicing the transmission, practicing that in the body.
Own your 50%.
Yeah. I don't know if that answered your question, but.
No, that was exactly, I love that, because I think that's like, for me, what I've had, and this is like, I'm just speaking from a lot of guys that come to the gathering of men, they have a good like end of the year. We all gather in October, and then for a couple of months, the guys are firing on all cylinders, and then sort of the start of the year happens. Things start to sort of fall back into the old patterns. And then before they know it, the guy's like, oh man, I just wish I could feel that again. I'm like, what you've said there is what I'm going to actually bring into the gathering. Man, it's like, brothers, take a moment to like anchor this as a blueprint in your body. Like, feel this moment. When you step into the center and you speak, feel this moment, feel it and anchor it in your body as memory, as anchor it into the marrow of your bones.
Yeah.
And I love what you said. You answered it perfectly. Like, oh, how do women like, you know, keep this space open? Number one is that they anchor it as a blueprint in their body, this feeling of liberation or surrender or deep relaxation. And then we continue to do the work after the immersion, after the month, after the workshop. And that's such a beautiful thing to be with. I think that is such an important piece. And, you know, our teacher, Jem, we should always say, own your 50%, which is really around like the practice can only ever meet you as deeply as you meet the practice, right? It's not going to do the work for you. You have to continue to meet it and sit with it and relate to it and deepen with it. And I think that's something that you and I are really passionate about, whether it's in our work, in our relationship with our family, with our friends. We're constantly seeing where it is that we're closing or where it is that we can deepen into the practice of like giving our heart.
Yeah.
And doing that in a responsible and appropriate way.
Yeah. I just had an analogy come in as well because, I'm teaching the pleasure portal at the moment. So it's orgasms and self-pleasure is on my mind.
Perfect.
I also really teach this around like when a woman is in the practice of self-pleasure, like I often say how we fuck is how we do life. And whether it's fucking ourselves or fucking someone else, it's like how we show up in those moments. So if we're self-pleasuring and we're just like, oh my God, I want to climax, like we're just like focusing on the goal. We're like, as women so often, and in men, when orgasm is coming or ejaculation is coming, it's like tensing. It's like trying to push it out. It's like gripping, controlling. And so if we look at that in terms of like how we fuck is how we do life, it's like, okay, where are we gripping, controlling, tensing, forcing, like trying to like chase something. And so this blueprint piece can be really beautiful, like practicing self-pleasure and moving towards orgasm or just pleasure in the body and letting go of the goal and really really intentionally relaxing and surrendering into pleasure, because that's where the deepest orgasms live, from in the place of like relaxing into them, surrendering into them. And then I like to, and I've done this in my own body so many times, and I teach women like remember that place. Like when you're surrendering, when you're releasing the grip, when orgasm is moving through you from a surrendered, relaxed space, like create a motherfucking blueprint in your body for that. So the next time you're in a launch in your business and you're wanting to grip and chase, you're like, oh, okay, I know that shape, I know that posture, I know that feeling of like relaxing into what I want. Okay, can I like invite my body into that state now as I'm, in a launch or as I'm moving towards something? Like that same blueprint is so important then out in the world. So yeah, I just wanted to add that.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Okay, anything else we want to bring?
Is there anything else that you want to share about healing the masculine, or like, what do you like? Is there anything else? Yeah.
Just that it was such a profound experience, those 3 days at Claimed, and I will be doing many, many, many more. I might even create a wait list for this episode. So
I think a wait list
maybe,
would be
maybe
incredible.
go to the show notes. There's probably going to be a wait list there, so you can add yourself to the wait list, because not most likely, I will definitely be doing more Claimed immersions and different immersions next year. It feels really, really important. What else was I going to say then? Doors to Full Spectrum Woman are opening soon. So if you are, even if you're close by, but if coming to an in-person immersion isn't for you, my membership is the place where it's at. So many new women already stepped inside in the last week or two through these backdoor access passes that we've been offering through different things. But,
yeah, shout out to the women that are jumping in, like all in.
Oh my God, it's so fun. I think this is going to be the biggest fucking launch yet for Full Spectrum Woman. So keep an eye out. Doors are going to open next week, depending on when this, next week. So late, what date is it? Early August. Keep an eye on my Instagram and mailing list. Yeah, really fucking excited for that.
Fuck yeah. I want to just like really just like anchor into and honor you, my love, and celebrate the body of work that you've developed over many years. But the Claimed immersion really feels like you've anchored in like an initiatory, almost a rite of passage for women to remember who the fuck they are.
Thank you.
And create space for everything that they deeply desire, and like feel the true feelings that are there that they may not have had access to in healthy ways in the past. So this is like such an initiatory, beautiful, beautiful way for women to come together and anchor in these feelings, and then to then have access to Full Spectrum Woman for like a 12-month journey to come and like do the work, to keep in the space and stay in the sisterhood and do the practices and learn more and almost build the muscle of feminine expression and this Full Spectrum Woman lifestyle. Like, to me, it feels like your this body of work is starting to almost just like land in a really beautiful, healthy ecosystem where like you can come and do Claimed and then spend 12 months deepening with all the incredible like masterclasses and all the other facilitators and teachers that you have come in. It's I can see how this is going to be, this is just the start of the devotion to, many, many years of beautiful, beautiful work with women who are ready to, deepen into the core of who they are, and I'm excited to play a part in it. Really excited to play a part in it.
And I'm so grateful to you for all the work you do and coming into Claimed. That was no words for that experience.
I just want to say one more thing too. Like, I had a guy reach out. His partner came to Claimed, and he spoke about how beautiful it was to receive her back into the world, back into the relationship, and not only that, but how it had opened up a whole other place of transformation for him in something he'd been going through as well. He didn't share, but he just said, man, like having her come back so open and it actually took me on my own path that, led to a deep transformation. And he just said, you just want to honor the ripple of this work. And I think that's something that's so beautiful, is that when we do this work for ourselves, it positively influences others. It impacts others in a beautiful way. So for any women that are doing this work, thank you so much. For any women that are finding their way to Full Spectrum Woman, thank you for walking the path. And so grateful, so honored, and so much love.
So much love. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again next week.
See you again next week. Thanks for sticking with us through all of the technical, aka Django difficulties at the start. But we love you guys. Thanks for listening.
I love you. Bye.
Peace.